Morning, guys. Okay, so coming out of Standing Bear Hostel. Did stay here last night. Impression? Strange. Sort of embracing your inner hiker trash. And I don't say that in a bad way. I say that in a good way. Postcard, talks about letting go of your cityness and embracing your trail nature. And this year, there's been a lot of negative chirp about the hostel here. And I think the reason is because people haven't let go of their cityness yet. It's still early on. And sure. I've stayed at Raffles in Singapore and the Peninsula in Hong Kong and, Four Seasons and all those places. That's not what you're doing out here. And you gotta let your cityness go and embrace the trail. And so with that in mind, you're paying $25 for a cabin which holds 4 people, or $20 for the bunkhouse, which I didn't go in, but it must hold, a dozen or X number. And then I think it's 10 for a campsite. The resupply is limited, but it's okay, it's adequate. The nicest part about it is basically, be able to go in there and get some pizza and beer. They've got some issues with showers aren't working right now. And, it's sort of put together with baling wire and duct tape. So I'm sure it's going to be hit and miss as far as your facilities. But I don't think anybody's coming here to zero. This is a place that you hit for a little resupply, maybe for a little town food en route to Hot Springs, which is basically 2 days away. And so in that regard, this isn't a bad stop. This is a pretty good stop. I wouldn't have mind going to the campsite if I had my enough dinners. I got my one dinner I needed. Actually, RTK took care of me with the dinner. So it was a good group. Yeah, it was fine. So extrapolating from that, one of the things that it's sort of almost time to talk about are, all of the interesting people that you meet on the trail, the characters, all that sort of thing. You're going to see it all out here. It's not just a microcosm of the U.S. It's a interesting slice of Americana. And like we had the Germans with us. Oh, it's almost a disappointment. So now I know Hans and Franz aren't Hans and Franz, who are become symbolic in my sort of quest here. And so they're Izzy and Finn. Izzy being Hans and Finn being Franz. What a disappointment, because I sort of had these characters now, and it's been shattered by reality. But anyway, have been super great guys. Izzy, like I said before, had hiked in 13, got the Virginia blues and dropped out. And his younger brother, Finn, who's a pastry chef, had said, hey, let's do this. And so they're out here. But, you contrast that. We have a guy last night who, one of these sort of weird characters, he gave himself a trail name that's essentially a title. I'm not going to say his name because it's not kind, but which is essentially a title. And in asking about it, it's like, oh, well, is that title reflective of, your education and your background and what you did for your career? No. What is it? Well, people just call me that. Well, people call him that because it's a derogatory statement that he's embraced essentially, because his social manners are just odd, and he's sort of off-putting, and as a consequence they've given him this sort of title which he considers to be very complimentary, and he's now taken in his trail name, but in fact it's sort of saying a reflection of this weird personality he's got. Anyway, you do get, you know, all sorts of characters out here, and you know, maybe I'm one of them, and a lot of these other guys that of you are some of them as well. Sorry, gotta get this glove off momentarily. So today, it's a beautiful day to start. It's supposed to rain later today, and then we're supposed to have snow tomorrow, and that is a recipe for misery, as we've experienced together in the Smokies, because we're at lower elevation and that sort of thing. I'm hoping that we won't sort of have a repeat of that, but just it is sort of, that is sort of what we're looking at. I'm thinking 15.5 today. There's another shelter at 20. After yesterday, which I did 20, even though I admit that I'm sort of lying about it, because my actual positive miles on the AT were only 18. It was only that hike down to the country store and back of 2 miles that put me at 20. But at the end of the day my legs did 20. Another 20 on top of that I think would be unhealthy. So I think 15 will probably be what it is. That would mean that I would probably do another 13, leave me 2.9 miles or something outside of town, and then on Thursday morning go in early, stay Thursday night, out Friday, so sort of Nero in, Nero out, or not necessarily even Nero out, but Nero in to Hot Springs, and get all the things done that day. That's sort of what I'm thinking right now. I'm healthy enough that I don't believe I should take a 0 there, even though Hot Springs seems to be like the most popular town on the trail. I think the only thing that challenges it is Damascus, and that's usually only during trail days. Anyway, so really looking forward to today. It starts out with a 2,500 feet climb, pretty much straight up. There's a small interlude, sort of maybe halfway up or something, where I can get water if I need it. I hope I need it, because I hope I'm staying a little bit better hydrated. But I did get coffee and ramen this morning to try to suck some warm water to me to start off. I'm the last guy out. It's like probably 8:15 right now, and it's time to get a move on. But for a while I will not be up, because getting this, you know, this whatever 6 miles out of the way will be. Okay, this is another picture that probably won't come out, but you can see the mountain tops that have been touched by the sun. That heat has risen and left this thermal layer with the clouds and the fog down below me. Actually, it's really cool. I hope that the autofocus doesn't grab the trees and deny you sort of that perspective, but yeah, you can hear I-40 way back there. Anyway, that's the city life. This is the trail life. Head north. RTK, pounding the hills, pounding the miles. I am. I've got you, the man of town. Look, you got an early riser trick going on there. Did you know that? Yeah. Yeah, we said unzip his pants halfway, right? Get good airflow.
Traveler told
me. Yeah.
I didn't.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So look at this morning, RTK and I have got. Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're probably halfway up our 2,500.
Yeah, probably.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sun's out.
All right, guys. gonna sneak up on Hans and Franz here. Izzy, he's got the red pack on, and his brother Finn has the green pack on. Go Deutschland! Hey. How's everything? Making good time, huh? Man, it's been a beautiful morning. Apparently this is some sort of FAA radar communication site. It does come to a unique opening. It doesn't give any particular views per se, but definitely the landscape is different than this deciduous forest that we've been walking through. And for those who come later on, where you're in the green tunnel, I dare say this will be a welcome reprieve. So this is just north of that FAA tower, which you'll see in the background right there. It's such a beautiful spot that you can see folks have set up a campsite. It's probably been used a lot of times, but look at that. Again, with the clouds down in those low levels. We sort of lose our view this way, but still. So just in my conversation, getting all sorts of notifications from people up and down the trail. Weather report is 1 to 3 inches of snow tonight, 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow. Apparently it's quite a large storm because I think they're even expecting snow in Richmond. I don't know if it's a nor'easter or what exactly it is, but as far from Atlanta to Richmond and then up and down the trail, I'm getting reports of an expected stormy weather. So I think this day will change dramatically as we go forward. And I will be in a quandary as I continue to move, deciding where and how far to go. Here's an interesting fix to the trail. Instead of just cutting through this log, they notched it out for you to pass through. Look at that big tree down. Now that's a Widowmaker. So I'm heading towards Max Patch. I haven't looked at gut hooks in a while, so I don't know exactly how far away it is. I think I go down and then up to it. So I'm sort of going down now. But I don't know which one of these tall peaks around me is actually Max Patch. But time will tell. This day has been actually quite a bit of uphill, which I prefer as far as ease on the body. But of course it does take its toll in exertion over time and distance. So I'm in no pain. I feel strong. So, but it's weird things that sort of all of a sudden turn your system off. Yesterday, it was that 2-mile trek down to the country store and back. Wasn't even that hard of it was a rather steep downhill and uphill, but since it was on the road, it wasn't really that bad, but it just it just mentally sort of broke me, and I was like, okay, I'm not even doing the 3 extra miles to the tent site. I'm just going to go to the hostel. Of course, that was also driven by the fact that I didn't have that one dinner, so I would have been short a dinner if in fact I were to have taken 3 nights. Okay, so there's your reference points. The Cherry Creek Trail, Junction here. Still making our way to Max Patch. Said it was only, what was it back there, 3.3, 3.5? Seems a lot longer than that. I mean, there have been some rough uphills and a few downhills as well, but it does seem like this has been a particularly slow 3 miles. I'm not sure why, but I look at my watch, it's actually still only 1:45, and I think it was 12:20 or 12:25 when we looked at that sign. So maybe it's just because the sky is graying, the wind is picking up, the temperature's dropping. It feels later than it is. Okay, this is from the lower level of Max Patch. You can see those clouds I was talking about just coming in and taking off the tops of those mountains. That sort of gray snow cloud like view. Ominous look to them. And there is the trail as it goes up to the summit, so we will do that. Hey guys, just wanted to give you an update. At about 4 o'clock, the precipitation started. Still pretty light, but I put on my poncho before my stuff got wet. I have probably 2 miles or so to go before I reach the shelter. That'll still put me 13 miles from Hot Springs, which could be a mighty long day if we get the amount of snow accumulation that they're talking about. So we may be white blazing in another way. If that's the case, well, you can hear it. Yeah, she's starting now. So I'm just gonna close out for the night, scoot to the shelter, see how many people are there, and decide what to do next. So the weather caught up. But it's a warm rain, relatively, so Not complaining about that. Doesn't feel bad at all. Things are soaked, so I'll probably stay in the shelter. Probably just go into my hiking clothes that I wear tomorrow and keep my boots under my quilt, and then in the morning just pull them on and go. I don't know when this is going to change over to snow. Some of the drops have been really big, you know how they get when they're like just heading towards freezing. So, oh, I'm at the shelter. Well, that's cool. I did do a big uphill, probably 1.5 miles, but I thought that for some reason I thought that I still had a ways to go. So here I am at the shelter. Oh my God, it looks packed. It's a tiny shelter. So we will see what it is. All right, guys. Have a good night. See you in the AM.